Hello. Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast, hosted by Christen Clark. This is a show for kids and families. You are going to meet new people and have fun while you listen. Let's do it!
Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Collide Kids podcast. I'm your host, Christen Clark. The Collide Kids podcast is a show for kids and families where we learn together how life and faith collide. I am so glad that you are listening today. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you are having a very Merry Christmas season. If you're brand new, I just want to say welcome. Don't forget to listen to the end of each episode. That's where we have the kids only segment where kids just like you get to be on the podcast. Well, we are only 15 days away from Christmas, and I really love this season because there's so much celebration around the day. It's not just about the day. We celebrate so much leading up to it, and that's my favorite. We have Christmas concerts and parties and activities and traditions we do with our family and friends. Lots of shopping still to do and plans to make. However, sometimes the season can become a little hectic. So I'm thankful for reminders to stop and reflect and look for where God is trying to show us something, as we have been learning from previous episodes about Hanukkah and Advent. And my guest today is going to help us with this also. Her name is Kenny Phillips. She is a children's book author with multiple titles, including God You Make Me Feel, Jesus Loves Everybody, and her most recent picture book with best-selling author Shaunti Feldhahn called Let's Find Joy. Katie also works as a senior writer and editor for Shaunti and is a team lead and contributor on all of Shaunti Feldhahn's women's devotionals, such as Find Rest, Find Peace, and Find Joy. Katie and her family have been foster care and adoption advocates in their church and community for the past decade. As a mother of 5 children, 3 biological and 2 by way of foster care and adoption, she has contributed articles on parenting children from trauma and the beauty and challenges of raising kids from hard places. She contributed to MOPS magazine and blogs for Family Christian, and prior to COVID, she was the guest speaker at a Moms in Prayer retreat and has spoken in multiple local schools as a children's author. Katie lives in Atlanta with her husband, Jeff, her 5 kids, and her 2 ridiculous Labradoodles. I'm so excited to talk about her new book and learn about finding joy. So here is my conversation with Kenny Phillips. Katie, thank you so much for being on the Collide Kids podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Would you introduce yourself to us today? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, my name is Kenny Phillips, and I am a mom of 5 kids. I'm a wife. I live here in Atlanta, and I'm a children's book author, which is pretty much my dream job. So I get to do what I love every day. And, I always joke that my house is like a circus with 5 kids and 2 Australian Labradoodles and the whole thing. But I grew up in Michigan and met my husband in California, and now we live in Georgia. So we've been all over the place.
You really have been all over the place. That's exciting. Does it feel different being so warm during the holidays?
Well, what's nice is I really think of Georgia as a perfect combination between Michigan and California. It's just a really nice mix. And I remember when I was in college, I went to the University of Michigan, and it is so cold in the winter. And I remember just crying as I was walking to class in the middle of winter, just crying. And it's like practically freezing on my face and just being like, it's so cold. So it is nice being a little bit warmer, but it does get chilly here in Atlanta. So,
I think chilly is a good word. We don't really get cold here. We just get chilly. We have these heavy coats, and we use them 2 weeks in the year pretty much. And then we put them back away, and we're good in hoodies for the rest of the season,
Exactly. As it should be.
Yeah, it's a nice kind of chill. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you today and to hear your story and hear about your books. But before we do that, I always like to put my guests on the spot and make them share a joke because this is a podcast for kids. And I think a lot of the kids really like this part of the show. So tell me your best joke. Let's hear it.
Well, can I preface by saying I think there's something in my brain that can only house one joke, like just one, literally one joke for my entire life. And whenever anyone asks me for a joke, there's just this one that has like lodged itself in my brain. And I have memories of when I was a teenager having a captive audience of adults at a table. And I was like, telling this joke and I totally messed it up and were staring at me. And so I was telling my kids this the other day and I was like, I need to tell this joke and it's the only one I can ever remember. So I told the joke to them and I messed it up again. And they're like,
No.
we don't get it. So anyway, I'm going to try.
Okay. I can't wait.
Oh gosh, no pressure. Okay, so there are 3 tomatoes. They were going for a walk, a daddy tomato, a mommy tomato, and a little kid tomato. And the little kid tomato starts lagging behind, and the daddy tomato turns around. He gets mad and he storms back and he squishes him and he says, ketchup.
You nailed it. Come on, that's great.
And, it's a good joke. It's very clever. But I think it's worth asking, like, why is the daddy tomato so angry?
I know. What's his deal? That's awesome. Great job. Great delivery, everything. That's a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. That is the first time in the history of my life I've ever told it properly.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad that we get to be the first for that.
Yes, first and last, most likely.
Probably. That's okay. You can just replay the episode each time.
I will. I'll put it on a recording.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. So you started out in Michigan. Tell us how you got to Georgia.
Well, I grew up in Michigan with my family and went to school there. Like I said, I went to the University of Michigan, and I actually majored in creative writing while I was there and specialized in children's writing, but moved out to California because I had dreams and high hopes of working in the television industry. And I had done an internship with the Emmy Awards before my senior year of college and got to meet a bunch of people and got to be on sets, and it was really exciting. So I moved out to California after I graduated and ended up pretty much doing the opposite of TV, and I got into nonprofit work, and I ended up working for the Girl Scouts and doing programming for them. I met my husband there, and we got married and had a couple kids, and then we ended up moving here to Georgia because of his job, and we loved it, and so that's how we ended up here in Atlanta.
Very cool. And so when did you start this idea that you wanted to write children's books?
Well, I've been writing my whole life, even in elementary school, writing stories. And I was recently at a school giving a talk about being a children's book author. And I said, do you want to know when I really felt like a real writer? And I told them that it was in the 2nd grade. And my teacher had us do a project where we were writing poems. And the way that she taught us how to write poems is we would brainstorm words that rhymed, and they would be across the board. And we would write our own poems based on the words on the board, but we really felt like artists. We felt like real writers, and she would calligraphy it onto beautiful paper and present the poem to us as if we were legitimate writers and artists. And it was just like, it stuck in me. Like, I can create something that is beautiful with my words. And so I've been writing for my whole life. And in college, I studied creative writing, and I did some children's projects. I wrote some plays for children's theater. And then, life. I had five kids, and so it's kind of just been this long, winding journey, but it's all been leading to this point. And so the way that I was able to finally kind of get published is I work with my friend Shanti Feldhahn, who is a best-selling author and speaker. And I've been working with her on a lot of her women's devotionals through iDisciple Publishing. So I've been on that journey with her and got to know iDisciple, and they decided they wanted to start a children's publishing part of iDisciple, and they asked me to kind of join them and give it a try. So that's how it all started.
That's amazing. And what an incredible teacher you had to just really help you guys focus on that feeling of being an artist, being a creator. That's a really incredible teacher, sounds like.
Oh, amazing, amazing. And it's just, it's so important to have people, even when you're little, to be speaking that into your life, that your words matter, your story matters. I encourage the kids when I was talking to them, like, keep your eyes open, look around. Like, there are things to write about, things to tell stories about. It's just out there in the world if we're willing to open our eyes and see it.
Yeah. So tell us about this book that you've just come out with recently.
It's called Let's Find Joy. And it is, I'll show you a picture here. Let's Find Joy. It's so fun. And it's based on Shanti's women's devotional called Find Joy. And so we decided, gosh, it's so important to try to, to seek joy every day, and to open our eyes to the real joy, not just happiness, but the real joy that comes from Jesus. And kids need that too. Kids are going through the hardest time of their lives right now with the pandemic and online learning and then back in school learning and all the things. And there's so much anxiousness and worry. And we need to be able to have steps. And what we did in this book is we made it a treasure hunt, and we made them clues to finding joy every day.
Oh, I love that. And I love treasure hunt, the idea of an adventure to go find joy. That's such a good idea.
Well, there are things that all of us, kids and adults, need to do on a daily basis to be able to really find that, and it starts with something like the first clue in the book is God is a big God, and we need to look around and say, wow, God, you have created an amazing world for us. And joy is found by starting and saying, God, you're amazing. So that's one of the clues. And other clues being like, we have to remember to say thank you to God
Mm-hmm.
and to other people in our life. If we are expressing gratitude, that changes our hearts and changes the way we look at things. Um, Remembering to say, I'm sorry, or I forgive you if something has happened and we need to extend that forgiveness or ask for forgiveness. So those are some of the clues that we've talked about to help us really, really get in a place where we can find joy.
I love that. What would you say is the best definition of joy? Like you said earlier, it's not happiness. So what is joy?
Well, joy, I think, is being content and being secure no matter what's going on around us.
Mm-hmm.
Because life is hard. Hard things happen, scary things happen. Things happen that we'd rather them not. And if we are secure in the knowledge that God loves us, we are loved by God, we are safe with God, that is a joy um, that just will be with us regardless of what's happening around us.
Yeah, it's almost like joy would be the opposite of fear. That it's a choice that we're making towards thinking that way about who we are in God. Um, so it's a choice because it's easy to be happy when things are going well, but to have this good disposition and perspective on life when things are not going well, that's really hard.
It is really hard, but I think that what you said is spot on. It is a choice. It's a choice to be grateful. It is a choice to say thank you. It is a choice to help others. And when we do those things, we realize that it doesn't matter what's going on around us. Like, that's deep inside, and that comes from
Hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah. What would you say was your favorite part about writing this book and putting it together?
Oh, it's so fun putting children's books together. It's fun when you get an idea and you think, "Oh my gosh, I think that kids might really enjoy going on this adventure." It was really fun working with my friend Shanti, who is an amazing writer herself and speaker, and she just has such a heart um, for God and for Jesus and for helping families. So it was really fun to partner with her. I love working with the artists and kind of collaborating and trying to come up with fun ideas. Like in all my books, I like having critters on every page. And so in this particular book, we have a puffin and a monkey that go on an adventure with the kids. And so on every page, you get to find the puffin and find the monkey. And so that's exciting with, seeing that come to life. So it's fun from start to finish. So I love that.
That's awesome. I read that when you write your books, you think about the things that Jesus said. What's so important about what Jesus said when you're writing a book for a child?
Well, I always think about in the Bible when Jesus says, "Do not stop the children from coming to me." There's a part where some of the disciples are saying, to the kids, like, "Stop bothering Jesus. Like, don't bother him." And Jesus said, "No, don't stop them from coming to me. Let them come to me." And so I love that idea of Jesus wanting kids to come to him. But then when I write these books, I always think, I don't just want parents to let their kids come to Jesus. I want them to come to Jesus with them. And I just envision Jesus like calling families closer and closer. And so when they're reading my books, I'm just really hoping that they're reading them together. I'm hoping that they start some good conversations between the kids and their adults, and that they would just feel closer to Jesus after reading them.
That's such a good goal for any book. Yeah. But I think it's so important for us as families to think about our faith together. It's not just about Sundays where we learn about God. We need to be finding time every day to learn about God and grow closer to him. Would you say that this book would be helpful for that, for families?
This is a great book because it's interactive. There are questions in the book. We talk about the different clues on the treasure hunt. And then after each clue, there's a question asking, what is the hardest thing for you to do in this situation? Or who do you need to say thank you to today? And so it's really great. It does spark conversations between parents and kids. And that's just, I think, great, because that can be a different book every time you read it, right? Like some days are different than others, and you read this book one day and maybe the focus is more on forgiveness. And then another day, maybe it's just saying, God is such a great big God. Like, what were we amazed by today? It can change every day.
Yeah. I think whenever I'm teaching something or I'm writing something or I'm putting something together, I always feel like God has to teach me a lot about it first before I can share it with others. So what is something in the book that really you had to really learn well before you could put it in the book?
Well, gosh, that's such a great question. Well, gratitude is a huge one. I think gratitude is something that we all need to focus on every day. So that being, I think, one of the biggies of the clues in the book, that we can either be a complainer or we can be someone who's grateful, even when things are difficult. That one, also the clue about saying I'm sorry and also offering forgiveness. That is not an easy one. It's not easy. We don't like saying we're sorry as people, but also sometimes we're a little bit, we're a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't want to offer the forgiveness when someone is asking us for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we like to hold on to that, and we have to offer forgiveness, because God forgives us and he really requires us to forgive others.
That's so true. I heard a message the other day where someone was sharing and they were talking about hate, and they said hatred is not just this like enraged passion, angry feeling, or bitterness, like you want something bad to come to someone else. It's actually just a lack of love. So if you lack love in your heart, even if you're ignoring them, you don't ever speak to them anymore, that's still considered hate. And it was really convicting for me, because I thought about, there's a lot of people, I don't feel like I'm a very hateful person, but there's a lot of people I might have not fully forgiven or not really apologized to and written off. And that could be a form of hate. And so it was a convicting moment for me to realize that showing love and showing compassion and that forgiveness is so important, not just for the other person, but also for us. We'll be right back after this. You know, raising kids in the digital age isn't easy, but Bark Technology makes products that help parents keep their kids safe online and in real life. They have an app, a phone, and a home device that lets families set parental controls on their internet-connected devices. I love the app because it helps us manage screen time and blocks websites and apps we want our kids to avoid. It also sends alerts and gives us the ability to monitor texts and social media and even track your child's location. Visit bark.us to learn more about how you can keep your kids safe online. Use the code COLLIDEKIDS to get 15% off your subscription of the Bark app.
I agree. It's hard, and that's why it's a choice. Like you said earlier, it's a choice, and it's one that we kind of like this treasure hunt. There are clues and things you can do every day. And it's a choice we make every day. Every day, got to get up every day and say, I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to forgive. I'm going to ask for forgiveness. All the things.
Well, this sounds like an incredible book for a Christmas present for someone.
Well, what's fun about it is that you can buy the children's book and the women's devotional together on Amazon.
Oh.
So what's nice is that moms and their kids can be going on this journey together, which I think
love that. Yeah, that's good. That's a really cool thing that they can go together with that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend everyone get one of these and put it under your Christmas tree for sure. That's going to be a good gift to find joy. Tell me a little bit about your family. You said you have 5 kids.
Right. 5 kids.
What ages are they?
So I have a huge range of kids. My oldest is a freshman in college. I have a sophomore in high school, a 7th grader, a 6th grader, and a 3rd grader.
Awesome.
Yes.
And are they all like totally the same, or are they all?
No, not at all.
No.
They are, you're thinking, wow, this is how you know God is an amazing God. He creates like a billion different personalities out there, right? If we had a billion kids, they'd all have different personalities.
That's right.
Yes. No, they're all very different. And it's fun, and it's right now we're in a season where our son just went off to college, so we're learning. Our kid is launched, and excited for him and seeing what he's doing as an adult out in the world, and then having other kiddos here at home. But yeah, our family is busy, and people play sports and do different activities, and we're just constantly going in a million directions, like all families.
That's right. That's amazing. I'm amazed that there's 5 kids. That's awesome. I have 2, so I feel that busy as well. So
Well, I always say, no matter how many kids you have, they take up all your time. So if you have
true.
1 kid or you have 20 kids, they're filling it up.
That's true. That's very true. What are you guys going to do for Christmas?
We have some family coming into town, which will be nice. And we usually have some traditions where we have a fun Christmas Eve dinner with all appetizers. That's a tradition that I grew up with in my house. And we usually go to a movie on Christmas Day, and it's going to be fun. We'll make Christmas cookies, and my son will be home from college, so it'll be fun.
That's nice. That's awesome. We like to go look at Christmas lights, and we would just pile into a car with hot chocolate in our pajamas, and we would go look at Christmas lights. And one of the things my dad would always do is if a house had too many lights, like it was kind of tacky, we called it the tacky toot, and we would honk the horn at their house. So I love sharing this so that other families will do it as well. So
I like that. It's funny you say about the driving around for Christmas lights. We did that as kids too. And it was, I don't know if it was Christmas Eve or it was close to Christmas, but my parents would say, let's get in the car and look at Christmas lights. Well, I hated that tradition. Like, I did not like doing it. I hated driving around. Maybe it was Christmas Eve because I was just eager to get home and like, let's get this thing started here.
Right.
And so I just remember my younger brother and I just like complaining in the back seat, like, oh, let's go home. We've had enough. Well, I find out just a few years ago, we're adults. We all have kids. I have 5 kids. My brother has 5 boys. Like, we're grown-ups now.
Uh-huh.
He admits to me he actually really liked looking at Christmas lights. And I was the big complainer and like kind of elbowing him in the back seat, like, tell them you're done. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like my poor brother, he really enjoyed it. And so.
That's so good. Good times. Well, that's what you have family for, is to kind of help each other. So, and keep those traditions alive. Well, good. Well, well, this has been so good. I'm so excited for people to read your book and get the devotional for the women as well. I think that will be a really great gift set for any family. So they can find your book on Amazon.
They can.
Awesome. Okay, so check that out for sure. And then I always like to ask my guests to share a memory from when they were a kid. You just shared a really good one, so I'm going to put you on the spot and make you share another.
Well, I was thinking about like, oh, what are some fun memories or funny memories when I was a kid? And I think when I was thinking about it, I don't know, maybe it had been a hard week. And I thought, I cannot think of one funny thing that has ever happened to me in my entire life, ever. And so this is the beautiful thing about having siblings. I quickly shot off a text to my brother, my younger brother, and I said, I can't think of anything funny that's ever happened to us in our entire childhood. Help me. And so he immediately starts texting me back, and he's shooting off some funny things. But I do have to admit, some of the funny memories, I don't know if I think I was a bit of a stinker as an older sister, because these memories were a lot of me giving him a hard time. Like I remember one time I convinced him that our parents were going to take us to Disney World the next day. And I like spun a story, an elaborate tale about how they were surprising us. I had that poor kid packing a suitcase. And, fun fact, there was no trip to Disney World.
Oh no, how disappointing.
I know. And I thought, what a meanie. But we actually my brother and I are super close. And he did admit that he was kind of a pain as a little brother. So I felt like maybe there was a little justification there. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. I'm the oldest sister in my family, and I feel like my brother and sister remember things about growing up that I don't remember at all. They're like, remember you used to do this and you used to wear this and you used to date this guy. Like they just remember all these things. And I'm like, I don't remember any of this. So that's why we have siblings, I think, or extended family. They help us remember stuff.
They share our story. And I actually just thought of a really, really fun Christmas memory. Do I have time to tell it?
Yes,
really
please.
Okay. So this is something fun that my brother and I did all growing up, and it continues to this day. We had on our Christmas tree what we considered a super ugly ornament, and it looked a little bit like a strawberry or a chili pepper. It was like a really long strawberry or a really bizarre chili pepper, and we just laughed so hard about it because it's just a really ugly ornament. And so I would take the ornament and hide it in the back of the tree because I'm like, that's a ridiculously weird looking ornament. Let's hide it. And every time I would come back, it would be at the front of the tree. So we had this tradition of every time we would see it, we would move it, and he would move it back. I would move it. And I discovered my mom gave him that ugly strawberry chili pepper ornament a couple years ago, and it's on his tree. So if I ever go to his house, I move the ornament.
I love that.
It's just nice to have those traditions.
Because we're always going to be your annoying older sister. And they're always going to be our annoying younger sibling, right? Like we're always going to hold that. Even if we have our own homes and we're adults, it's still going to be that relationship, right?
Siblings are so great.
Yes. Well, thank you again so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed talking to you and hearing all about your book, and I hope that a lot of people will get one for Christmas.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been fun talking to you.
I love learning about people's family traditions and how other families move ornaments around. That's what my family does too. So that's good to know I'm not alone in that. I loved meeting her and hearing all about her books, and I loved her definition of joy she shared with us today. She said joy is being content and being secure no matter what is going on around us. You know, hard things and scary things and difficult things happen all the time. But if we are secure in the knowledge that we are loved by God and safe with Him, then we will have joy. That's that knowledge to carry around with us. I love that. And she said it's a choice to be grateful and to be thankful. I also loved when she was sharing about her new book and how it pairs with a women's devotional. So it's something a family can do together. And I think that's really special, those resources, when you can do that with mom and dad and it works together. So definitely check that out. You can find her book on Amazon. It's called Let's Find Joy. I'll have a link to that on my website and social media. So check that out. Great gift idea for Christmas. And be sure to follow her on Instagram at Kenny Phillips to learn more about her other books and content. Well, now it's time for the kids only segment. This is the part of the show where you get to be on the podcast. So I'm excited for you to hear from my friend Briggs.
Psalm 139:14. I'll praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Wow, thank you, Briggs. Great job. That is one of my favorite verses. I love Psalm 139:14. Thank you for sharing that with us today. Hey, I'd love to hear your favorite Bible verse, or maybe an encouraging quote that you like from a book or a movie, or maybe you have a great joke that you want to share. You can find information about how to send that to me so I can put you on the podcast too. Just go to my website or my social media. I'm on Facebook at the Collide Kids Podcast, or on Instagram at Collide Kids Pod. You can also check out my website, thecollidekidspodcast.com. Would you like to support the podcast? Here's a few ways you can do that. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow this podcast so that new episodes will automatically load each week into whatever podcast app you're using, and leave a rating and a review. That really is so helpful whenever you do that. And you can also share this episode with friends and family on your social media or through email and text message. Tell them why you and your family like to listen. And you can also go to my website and click the link that says Buy Me a Coffee. Anytime you think about it, most importantly, I always appreciate your prayer support as well. Well, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. I hope that you and your family find joy wherever you go this holiday season. And I hope you find opportunities to see the joy in what's happening around you and to share it with others. In case no one has told you today, let me remind you that God loves you so much. Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening.
You don't have to go very far looking for bad news because somehow it just finds you. So finding peace in the chaos can be really difficult, but it doesn't have to be because the River mobile app exists. The River is a Christian music radio station dedicated to playing music to help you get through life's toughest moments or life's happiest moments and everywhere in between. And all from artists who love Jesus and are real people just like you. Listening is easy. You can download it wherever you get apps from. Just search 1049 The River or listen online at riverradio.com. And know that The River is proud to partner with the Collide Kids Podcast.